Let's talk about Five Children and It by Nesbit, who is an author of the early Edwardian period, really. Famous perhaps most for this and The Railway Children. This is a fantasy children's story. It's the first in a trilogy, along with The Phoenix and the Carpet and the Story of the Amulet. It was published in 1902, so technically Edwardian rather than Victorian, but that's a general genre or period genre of fiction. In it, you've got four main children: Cyril, Robert, Anthea, and Jane. The fifth child is their little brother, the Lamb, aka the Lamb. I don't think we know his name. And they are staying in the countryside over the summer, and they end up, as they explore the countryside, they end up discovering a grumpy sand fairy in an old gravel pit. This is the It, so-called. You can actually see on this rather nice cover, you can see the five children and it. The It is there. That's the Psammead, the sand fairy. He's an ancient creature. He seemingly is the last of his kind. He's vulnerable to water. He likes living in the sand. He likes to sleep. He's fairly grumpy. More than anything else, though, he's a granter of wishes. That's the important function he has in this story, that the children can ask him for wishes, a certain number per day, before he's exhausted. So they ask him for wishes, of course, and they, generally speaking, get them good and hard. For instance, the kids say they want wings, and that sounds great until the time where the wish expires passes and you no longer have wings and you're on a church roof. Or you wish for gold and you get some gold guineas, but half the people you meet think you've stolen them because you're little children, and then you manage to use them, but the next day the people you give them to, the money disappears and they don't have any money anymore because they sold you stuff for these guineas that expired with the wish. So you get the idea. It's a morality tale in that sense, but it's fun, it's easy to read, it's inventive. The Psammead himself is a really enjoyable character. He is grumpy, he's willing to be flattered, but ultimately he's a bit resentful of having to do his job. He complains a lot. He's always harking back to the old days when that the Stone Age people used to order a chunk of mammoth or whatever. It's very Victorian, technically Edwardian, as I say, in its style. It's bouncy, it's vigorous, it's smiling, it's constantly talking directly to the reader, to the child, to the parent. It's moralising, certainly, as well. I like it, but it's a big difference to what we may expect. Not as if most children's fiction is not moralising, it virtually all is, but this is honest about it and open about it. It's very direct. The children are distinct. I think their characters are distinct. So, for instance, Cyril is serious and thoughtful. Robert is more pugnacious and adventurous and impulsive. Anthea actually like a mother figure sometimes to the Lamb. But they're not exciting. I like them. Having read these books, I enjoy their characters. But you wouldn't come here and say, "Well, these are the best children's characters ever." They're interestingly not completely dissimilar, perhaps, to the four children in the Narnia books, written over 40 years later, in terms of some of the dynamics and setup, except Robert is basically nicer than Edmund at the start and things like that. But what I suppose I would say is that in the Narnia books, I think Lewis has a much better grasp, ironically, given he didn't have kids, he only had stepkids, and that was after he started writing Narnia, whereas Nesbit, she did have children. The children are, in some sense, real children. They remind you of children you know, but the kind of sense of, I guess, energy and inner vigour and enjoyment of the world that perhaps you get, you might expect or you might want, and that does come out, I think, in the Narnia books with the children's characters. Also, when they're annoying, they're really annoying. Here, there's less of that. It's less textured, I think it's fair to say. The Psammead is a strong character. The children are not particularly. The morals drawn, generally unobjectionable. It might be 100 years old, but most people are not going to be too bothered by most of the things it says. The children do honestly try to go around helping people as well, doing good. Some of the most interesting plot elements in the book are when they are trying to work around circumstances, around other people's personalities, and around their own misbegotten wishes to help people, because they honestly do want to help people. My kids loved it. I enjoyed it. We've read the second book as well, which is The Phoenix and the Carpet. We enjoyed that too. Different but the same. We're currently reading the Railway Children as one of the books we read, and we're enjoying that. Haven't read the third book in this trilogy yet, so we enjoyed it. I think it's good, family fare, family friendly. It's easy enough to read and listen to, so I'd recommend it on that basis. If you have read it, tell me what you think, or what your kind of other favourite classic children's books are. That seems like a good discussion to have. So tell me those things in the comments. Till next time.